My name is Amanda Gatherer. I'm a consultant clinical psychologist and a member of the mental health expert panel for the English Institute of Sport. I work alongside two experienced sports psychiatrists, and the three of us are the clinicians on the panel. Aim of the panel is that we provide mental health support, consultancy, advice, some level of assessment and treatment advice for athletes and for people working across the various elite sports. My way of thinking about mental health issues and elite sport and elite athletes is that not only are athletes likely to get mental health difficulties as anybody else, any member of the public, so we see the whole range of needs, but obviously the high performance sports world does increase pressures and create some significant additional stresses. I think it's quite hard for athletes to reach out and admit that they're struggling with their mental health. There's a number of reasons for that. And often we do come across scenarios where athletes are just very reluctant to acknowledge that they're struggling because of their concerns that it'll impact upon their progression in the sport.
I'm Dr. Allan Johnston, so I'm a sports psychiatrist. I'm a doctor of mental health working with the EIS on the mental health expert panel. I find sport interesting, and sport creates a lot of really interesting characters and people and challenges. The sports environment is a really interesting place to work. A person comes to me with really clear goals and expectations, and I can help them to fulfill those by improving their mental health. I'm always working as part of a multidisciplinary team that involves the athlete. The athlete themselves often drives their own recovery and their own improvement. And then as a sports psychiatrist, I should be able to provide a range of biological, psychological and social treatment strategies. So sometimes that involves medication or advice about sleep, sometimes psychological approaches around therapy, and often a person has social needs. Their relationships or housing or finance has a big impact on their mental health. So I would say it's about working as a team to create a good assessment of the person's needs and then offering a bespoke treatment plan to meet those individuals' needs.
I'm a consultant psychiatrist, full-time NHS practice, and I'm also a member of the mental health expert panel at the English Institute of Sport. Our mental health brief actually focuses more on clinical issues, so athletes who are running into difficulties, athletes who are having problems, athletes who might need some clinical support, and we are there to drive that clinical support, to develop the policies, to develop the strategies and the clinical networks that support athletes who are running into difficulties with their mental health. Looking across the pathway of supporting mental health, moving away from the clinical end, more towards developing policies that support good mental health champions, educational material for anyone who's working in the high performance system, and the clinicians who are helping athletes to address problems that they might run into, using clinical networks, helping them to get the best treatment that they otherwise might not have got.
There's a huge amount of work being done in the EIS to encourage athletes to come forward and seek mental health support. Many athletes have taken part in some mental health awareness training, just trying to normalise mental health. We talk about physical health and we talk about physical ill health. When we use the phrase mental health, we tend to only be talking about mental ill health. So trying to just create an awareness through training and education around actually mental health is the same spectrum as physical health. So if you're an athlete who's struggling with mental health or got some concerns about mental health, then I would encourage the first step to have a conversation with somebody around you, with your coach or performance lifestyle advisor or the sports psychologist if you've got access to that. Ask what support's available for you. There is support available, and as a panel we can advise on where that support can be accessed. But by having that conversation, that individual hopefully will either connect you up through to the panel and we can then advise on where you can get help. I think the first step has to be find someone in the sport who you can have a conversation with.
I think what we're trying to create in the high performance system is an atmosphere where it's okay for an athlete to say things aren't quite right and I'd like to talk to someone. It's great to see organisations taking that responsibility as seriously as the EIS does in addressing athlete mental health. And having a week when we are focused on thinking just about that has to be a very important thing.